Here lately, I've been on the topic of underperforming teams finally making the jump to playing playoff basketball. And with no surprise, that's exactly what I'm here to talk about today. And that team for today's video is the Chicago Bulls. But to be more specific, today I'd like to go over the Bulls roster and go over why I think they can make the playoffs next season. But before we get into it, I'd like to bring something up. Only a very small percent of the people who watch these videos are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you enjoy this content and want to see more just like it, make sure to drop a like and leave a sub. And now that we have that out of the way, the first thing I'd like to talk about is the Bulls All-Stars from last season. First, let's get into Zach LaVine. He had an amazing season last year, and stats show that. He averaged over 27 points per game, while dishing out almost 5 assists and grabbing 5 rebounds. And on top of all that, he worked his way to his first All-Star appearance this season. And the only thing I have to say about that is that it was well-deserved. Now to move on from LaVine, next I'd like to talk about Nikola Vucevic. When they made the mid-season trade for him last season, I was pleasantly surprised. He's one of the better shooting big men in the league, and he showed that last season. On top of averaging a double-double in points and rebounds, he shot 40% from the three-point line, and that's highly impressive when you take in the fact that he almost shot 3 three-point attempts per game. And now that I've talked about the 2 All-Stars from the team, I'd like to get into their free agency moves. And the first move I'd like to talk about is the sign and trade for Lonzo Ball. This move will give Billy Donovan's backcourt amazing depth, as it gives Chicago an excellent three-point shooter and a lockdown defender. Everybody knew that this move was coming, yet when I saw the Woj report on it, I was still excited. And I think that's just an example of how happy people are to finally see Lonzo Ball in a system that fits him. And to go on from that, the next move I'd like to talk about is the sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan, which in my personal opinion was the most interesting move in all of free agency. And that's simply because the fit just isn't too good in Chicago, but when you have a player the caliber of DeMar DeRozan willing to join your basketball team, you don't let it pass. And the only reason why I don't think this is too good of a fit is because of DeRozan's defensive struggles. Well, and to be honest, it isn't struggling anymore. He's just flat out not good at defense. But because of the lack of defense in the starting lineup, they went ahead and got some defensive guys on the bench. And of course I'm talking about Alex Caruso and Derrick Jones Jr. And I don't know if these moves will fix Chicago's defensive struggles, but it sure is a start. And to move on from free agency, my favorite part about this team is their young energy. Guys like Kobe White and Patrick Williams will still be progressing throughout the season, so this team only has room to grow. Kobe White will more than likely be coming off the bench, and that's exactly where I think it suits him best. I think he can give a spark to the second unit that we just haven't seen in years prior. And of course the fan favorite Patrick Williams will probably take a second year leap. And given these 2 significant players are coming off the bench this season, that just tells you how talented Chicago really is. And now that I've talked about most of the good Chicago's done this offseason, I do need to talk about some stuff that I didn't like. And the main thing that comes to mind was losing Thaddeus Young. I understand it was to improve the roster, but I think Chicago's really going to have a rude awakening of just how significant he was for the team. And of course they did lose another significant piece in Lauri Markkanen. Is what I would say if anybody gave a damn. Nah, I'm just playing, but I do wish Lauri the best of luck in his career, and I think it was probably best for the team to split up with him. And now to move on from the losses, I'd now like to take a look at what this season means for Billy Donovan. This season, he will finally have a competent roster, so there's no excuses that this team shouldn't make the playoffs. And with Zach LaVine about to be in contract conversations, Billy Donovan needs to do the right decisions to put this team in the playoffs. Because giving LaVine any reason to leave Chicago would probably cost him his job. And now the last thing I'd like to talk about in this video is my prediction for the Bulls next season. Given that no injuries or suspensions or anything like that happens, I for sure think this team will be in the playoffs. And I'm not talking just being an 8th seed. I think the floor for this team is being the 6th seed, while their ceiling is the 4th seed. And guys, I do want to say something. If this team loses a couple games off the rip, don't freak out. When big free agency buyers like this start the season, they usually don't have the chemistry that normal teams have, so they tend to lose a couple of games. But like I said, I do have this team finishing in the 4th seed, so I think they'll find that chemistry and the success later on in the season. And that's really all I have to say. But once again, if you enjoyed this video and want me to keep making more just like it, make sure to drop a like and leave a sub. Also, let me know how far you Bulls will go next season. And that's really all I have to say today. So thank you guys for watching and see you in the next one.